Good evening and warm welcome to the Smuggo and G show. Once again, we are without G. She was out in Italy tonight, and she's had a spanking old night watching the Arsenal women win 4-0 away. So we will go into that. But first and foremost, just obviously want to mention our proud sponsor, Zenith Coin, sponsoring the show tonight. And I've got my fantastic guests who are the same pairing as last week. So it'd be good to have a bit of a chat in terms of obviously the women's side of the game, but also the draw at Stamford Bridge the other day, where I'm sure there'll be some good, passionate talk discussed. So first and foremost, good evening to Andy. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Yeah, good evening, everybody. Yeah, enjoyed that match just then, and I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about it as we go.
Absolutely, and a good evening to Johnny Gooner, Brooksy himself. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, mate. Yeah, all good. Getting a bit cold and it's dark and depressing, isn't it? Yeah, you know, gonna fall asleep soon. International break, wake up, and then the Arsenal will be back. So.
It's literally you literally wake up when it's just like a little bit light, don't you? And you finish work and it's gone. It's not.
Yeah.
Oh mate, it's literally I'm going to work in the dark and coming home in the dark. It's what it's going to be like for the next few months.
Absolutely. Well, look, we got some good football debate to kind of get you through the next hour or so. So we're going to kind of review the women's side first, the draw. We've got a couple of games to review, and then we've got an interesting game on Sunday against Tottenham away, which I'm sure will be quite a lively affair as well. So 7:00 on Friday evening at the Emirates was Arsenal versus Brighton. The discussion, obviously, prior to that game was that we thought it'd probably be quite a tight affair. I was thinking that maybe we might win 2-1. I was totally wrong. Absolutely blown out at the woodwork Brighton were. I know you got to watch this, Andy. Unfortunately, I was at a family engagement. Obviously, I know we was messaging throughout the game, but a comprehensive performance by the girls and five goals to go with it.
Oh, it was an outstanding performance from start to finish. It was like looking at a different side completely. You could see it in the body language when they were kind of in the warm-ups. There was a bit more zip about them, a bit more zest, and the body language was so much more positive, and they've just carried it into the game and put on a phenomenal display. I mean, let's not forget where Brighton were in the league as well. They were sat third, and we weren't going to overtake them, so we had to pull them points back. But to do it in the manner that we did was just different class. Everything I'd whinged about in weeks gone by felt like a thing of the past. There was a real togetherness about it, and what a performance to boot. It was just magnificent.
Just want to say good evening to Rosie. Hope you're well. Good evening to Mr. Podcast himself, who's just been doing the live stream. The bar lights are in party mode at the moment. I think they're on their way out, to be honest. Need a good replacing. They're dancing at the moment. I think they're dancing to the two wins for the women's side. I suppose the other thing, Andy, as well, I thought was quite an important thing. 5 different goal scorers as well in that Brighton game.
Yeah, sharing it across the board is always a good thing. People weighing in from all over, which is spot on. But it seems our kind of front guys are really kicking in at the moment. Russo, as much as she's not been massively amongst the goals, her performances have just been out of this world. The link-up play, the non-stop effort, the commitment that she gives, and she's along with many others, is the reason why there's been a big turnaround.
An interesting one. I know she's had her critics, Caitlin Ford, but in both the games, obviously on Friday and tonight, on the score sheet, that's got to be good for her confidence, because she's someone who does get into the positions to score, to have the chances, don't she?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, and the thing with Caitlin is, with all that pace and power, sometimes you just want a little bit more from her. But saying that, over the last month in particular, she's been over the last 2 weeks in particular, especially since there's been this kind of turnaround, she, along with everybody else, has just been different class.
Yeah. I think she's really kind of come on, and Beth Mead was on the goal scoring charts on Friday as well. It's quite important to get her back into that kind of scoring mojo, isn't it? Because I think it hasn't really returned, has it, since she's returned it in terms of a consistent basis.
No, and I think coming back from such a bad injury, it's taken her a while to kind of get up to speed, get that match sharpness back. Some people can do it quicker than others, but over the last couple of games, she's really been proper handful for her opponent. The great thing about Beth is that non-stop work ethic. Even if she makes a mistake, she'll put a shift in, get back, and get a tackle in. So yeah, she's doing great at the moment, and a good player for that team. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, talk about the manager as well, Sleegers. 9 goals in 2 games. No response from the other team. Is she putting herself in the box seat for a contender to take the job on a more consistent basis? Like, she's got the girls playing again. She's getting them scoring again. The spirit seems to be arising again. Is there any reason why she couldn't take the job on potentially on a longer term basis?
No, but looking at the reaction that's been kind of portrayed by the squad since Jonas has left has been, well, it's just been incredible. So that has to massively be down to Seegers and a staff that that they got there. It appears in interviews and stuff that all the women seem to really like her as well. So everything's sort of saying at the moment she's almost going to save the club a kind of a big job to replace. They've just got to be mindful sometimes that we don't just keep it with someone that everybody likes. It doesn't always work out for the best in the long run. So just got to be maybe a little bit cautious, but no, the turnaround's been good. So the resume must be pretty strong at the moment. It's
an interesting one, isn't it, as well? Like when you start thinking about the owners' probably last year in tenure of the club and the performances not being there, and you seeing the confidence rise now. Like you being an ex-footballer as well, have you been in dressing rooms out when the manager's not probably at the end game? Do you sense that the players kind of lose spirit as well and kind of performances drop due to that?
Yeah, it can, absolutely. Yeah, especially with with the better managers and you've got the right relationships with them. It can be a really difficult period. Not a nice one for players to have to go through, to be honest.
No, I'm just going to say I don't know what's going on in the stream, but we somehow lost our chat. He's got an email password, so we ain't going to be able to put anything up in the chat, I'm afraid. But obviously keep watching on. Just going over your shoe, John. Obviously looking ahead to Sunday now. Big North London derby for the women. Surely no one needs to do no one needs to kind of lift the girls up for this game, can they? Like, lost there last year 1-0. They need to go and win this game, don't they? For what happened last year, but also to keep the good running going. And you can't go into better form, can you? Scoring 9 goals in your last 2 games.
No, it's brilliant. Football is very much a confidence game, and the difference between them playing under Jonas the last few games and then you look at them the last few games, they're absolutely flying high. So, yeah, brilliant win tonight. Obviously, it's a massive game for them Sunday. They'll be up for it. I mean, I presume they've got a fully fit squad, as far as I know. So, yeah, I know we lost there last year. And we have to keep a winning run going because obviously we need to climb up the league and get us, top 3 at the very least. Because I know Chelsea and Man City look like they're going to run away with it. But they've got to just keep winning this for as long as they can. Because momentum is key.
Yeah, momentum is definitely key. And I'm just going to go back to you on that one, Andy, with the top game against Tottenham on Sunday. It's a big game, isn't it, in terms of, firstly, making the wrongs right from last year, but also to get a second win on the bounce and get the momentum continuing within the team.
Yeah, this could cap off a phenomenal week for them, couldn't it? Which would pretty much cement the big turnaround. But the way that they're playing at the moment, I'm sure they're going to go into the game with massive confidence. Spurs haven't had the best of starts, and we're just on the up at the moment. So, yeah, it all points to us going there. And if we turn up with the right attitude, like we have in the last sort of 2 or 3 games, I can see us doing something but kind of big against them, 3 or 4.
Very nice.
If we play to our strengths like we have been recently, yeah, absolutely, I can see it.
Yeah, cool. I was just looking at their next games as well. After that, some interesting ones. I know they've got Juventus again in the return game. But obviously, Aston Villa at home, Liverpool away. That'd be quite a big game, won't it? And then they go for they have a break over Christmas, don't they? And you start looking at it. is actually, it seems like we're going around to the second round of fixtures already. They get Crystal Palace, and then they've got Chelsea, Man City, and Spurs in a run of 3 games in a row. So, like, I guess, like, the games come around quite quickly in the women's game, don't they, as well, in terms of them fixtures. So, like, the next 2 or 3 games are massive, isn't they? I think if we can go and do the job on Sunday, get a win against Aston Villa, then go to Liverpool and get the win, it kind of holds us in good stead, don't it, going into the new year?
Yeah, without doubt. And let's hope through that period that, you know, because there are some decent teams at the moment, that City and Chelsea might drop points at somewhere along the way as well. I can see there's a few teams that can take points and nick points off each other. So they've just got to keep this run going is the big thing, and then we'll worry about them later down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to work because we ain't got the chat. Ryan's in the back dealing with the chat at the moment. So let me just drop that back down. We will talk about the refereeing situation later on. I'm sure we'll have a quick chat about that in terms of what's happened. Very strange affair.
Very much so.
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, obviously within the Champions League game, a massive win tonight. In terms of the performance, Andy, did you think it was an upgrade from the Brighton game, or did you think there was because it was away from home as well, and it was a tricky account, and we're going into an unknown territory.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going up against Juventus, you know, in their own backyard. You know, I'm sure the guy on the commentary said they hadn't been beaten there in God knows how long, so they've had some formidable home record. So to go there and actually boss the game and blow them away, you know, it's putting a big marker out there. It's been a massive win.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the next game, Bayern Munich, that'll be the next game, a home game, wherever that's played as such, or whatever date that's played. We need to get a win at home, don't we? Whatever happens, we need to get the win and just kind of consolidate in terms of grounding it out. Actually, I think we might have Juventus before that. Sorry. Yeah, we got Juventus before that, then Bayern Munich. Yeah. So we got the 2 home games with the Juventus game next week. But if we get through these kind of home games now and get the wins, because I think the performance against Juventus, they're going to want to come over here, aren't they, and make the wrongs right as well. So we have got to be pretty prepared next Thursday, haven't we, in terms of that they're going to have a bit of something in between the teeth after what's happened tonight.
Yeah, without doubt. You know, they'll be licking the wounds now. That's the best thing about the kind of the old format for the men. You know, the fact that you've got that opportunity to go back and get them again. It's the frustration I've got with the men's Champions League where, you know, we can't get into back to our ground, but at least the women have got that. So yeah, and I'm sure they can't wait for the Bayern Munich game.
It is a strange one, isn't it? Just mentioning the men's game at the moment, like I'm not sure about it if I'm being totally honest. Just for the fact that it's a bit inconsistent, isn't it? Like someone can face Real Madrid, which, to be fair, I know their performances haven't shown it this year, but have seen the best team in the world, where other teams won't face it. So for me, it doesn't really hold the same advantage as such.
No, it's all about money. It's you know, the old format. You know, as a spectator, as a fan, I want us to have Inter back at home after that match. You know, because you want to put right your wrongs, and you've got the few little grudges that were going on in the games. And I'm sure if you ask the Inter players, that's what they'd want as well. Just the old format had a bit more about it. It's just a bit more blasé, I think, with it at the moment with the Champions League. I still don't really know what's going on.
No, I don't get it.
It's a very strange format, isn't it? I think it's one that obviously people are trying to get used to. Even to the point where you got the top 8 that definitely go through, then you got the playoff places, isn't you? And you're sitting there at the moment, right? And you're sitting there thinking, because Real Madrid ain't played that well, you could end up with it'd be typical Arsenal, wouldn't it? To get the bogey one and draw out Real Madrid.
Yeah, Bayern, they're down there as well.
Who's that?
Bayern Munich.
There's a couple of big teams down there at the moment.
Yeah, there is.
And you start looking at the games ahead, and I know going on to that game, shouldn't really go going on to it, but you start looking at the games ahead, don't you? And you pick your games and all that. And I just find the whole format very strange. Like, I just find it really, really strange. And I did like the double affair, like yourselves. Like, I like the thought of having them to come back, and I'm sure PSG would have wanted us to be able to go over to there as well. So yeah, it is a funny situation at the moment within the Champions League.
There's lots of muck about, you know. It's like the Euros, don't forget. They made that bigger, and it was just rubbish. I mean, extra teams, and it was just crap. Yeah, they think bigger is better, but it's not always the case.
The other thing as well is at this stage, teams ain't really going to fall out on it, are they? Like the games that you would get at the back end of the season. Like, I just feel like, I've always felt this a little bit with the men's team in the Champions League. Like, we play within our means at times. We're consolidating our energy levels. So, because then you're looking at the weekend game as well, aren't you? And obviously, our main eggs have to go into the Premier League basket first and foremost. That's your bread and butter. So, I always do feel within the club that we're kind of managing the games as such, which I think that also makes the games less exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, a really good win tonight. Obviously G was over there tonight, so I'm sure she's having a cracking night. She'll be on the old yeah, George's over there, isn't
he? Yeah, I think
he was.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm sure there'll be some beers drunk tonight. But I know we were saying off air, Andy, Juventus's stadium as such. This is what I've always been saying about. This is why we should have a big advantage of a pool in terms of getting the very best players. Because let's be honest, they come over to us, they're going to be playing in a 60,000 stadium.
Yeah, without doubt. And to see that there, it was so disappointing. It just kind of goes to show maybe where the women's game is in Italy
stand, at the moment. It? I'd see it. Yeah.
It was like a
high-rise flats behind
a non-league ground. Just a non-league ground, and it was just like so disappointing because it's Juventus. And if the game was reversed or the game reversed, they're going to walk into the Emirates. It's like, come on, what's wrong with their stadium? Surely a game a week in the Champions League is not going to harm things. It's just a bit disappointing for me that.
You got to make
the girls would rather play there as well.
You've got to make it appealing for girls growing up, ain't you? Giving them inspiration to say, look, you get to this level, you can play in these kind of stadiums. Do you know what I mean? And like if you're like an Italian young girl and you're probably looking a bit envious that when they come back to Arsenal, the Arsenal team are going to be playing at home at the Emirates, which they're doing quite a lot over the course of the season. And I've always said that's got to have a massive pull moving forwards in terms of being able to attract the very best players. And I'd like to see that in terms of our kind of transfer dealings moving forwards, that we can utilise having a stadium and being able to play in a stadium like that. I know that probably the attendances have dropped, didn't they, a little bit from last year, and I think a lot of that was down to kind of the situation with Jonas and all that. But hopefully we can get that back to where it was before and start getting the stadium packed out again. It becomes a big attraction for players, doesn't it, John?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to play in the best stadiums with full houses every week? That's what people dream of.
Sorry, guys, 1 sec, just hiding something. So yeah, we're gonna kind of move on now to just quickly go into the Sunday game. So obviously the game on Sunday is on BBC, I believe. Sorry, Saturday is on. I keep saying Sunday. I'm losing a day. It is Saturday, the 16th of November at quarter to 2. It's definitely a game that I'm going to be watching. Get the ears lowered early, so I'll be back in time for it. It doesn't matter, does it, Andy? What kind of level of football is Tottenham Arsenal? You'll know that in terms of having your battles with them. Do you see there being a big rivalry game in it, or in terms of the competitiveness? Do you think Tottenham can get anywhere near us Saturday? Sorry.
Yeah, but going back to the fact that it's Spurs. I mean, my God, even thinking back now, I'm so jealous of the girls on Sunday, knowing that game's coming on, because it was a phenomenal week leading up, and it'll be no different with the women. The importance of the fixture shouldn't really need to be spoken about. They'll know that they need to wrong the rights from last season, first and foremost, but also let's put them in their place, but also kick on from this kind of momentum that we're starting to build now.
They need to chuck Pat Rice in there, don't they?
Yeah, let Rice in for a team talk. Yeah, they wouldn't know what the hell hit him. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. So yeah, obviously,
that might be like one of yours, Liam.
You've heard a few of my team talks on the Sunday league.
I have, mate, yeah. Barry Fry's got nothing on you.
I was actually labelled the non-league Barry Fry, weren't I?
Which you loved.
On some clubs. Yeah,
probably not
my
day, that did.
Probably not my biggest claim to fame, to be fair, but yeah, box them in was my favourite phrase. Box them in.
Yeah. And show some passion.
Maybe I ain't got passion. You ain't playing in my team. That's first and foremost.
That's it.
Yeah, so obviously good luck to the women on Saturday. We will all be rooting you. 1:45 kickoff. We obviously will do a follow-up show next week to kind of discuss that and look ahead to obviously a big round of fixtures for the men and women's game. And we've obviously got the review of the Juventus game that will be on the Thursday as well. So we will be live next Tuesday again. We're going to go into the men's side of the game now. And yeah, out Chelsea away, 4:30 kickoff on Sunday at Stamford Bridge. When you see the team news come out, John, pretty happy, pretty good news, weren't it? Declan Rice was back in the team, which is obviously what we wanted. Obviously, Saka was in the team as well. Was you quite confident going into the game?
Yeah, and not to mention Odegaard.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And Odegaard.
Captain fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I see that team, I see their team, and I thought we should be winning this game. And sadly, it doesn't work out like that. But I mean, they said it in the commentary. That's our strongest team when everyone's fit. So it's slightly disappointing we couldn't get over the line. But the most important thing was A, to score, and B, not to lose, which they did. But yeah, but obviously we look at the results of the weekend, it is points dropped. But then with international break now, coming probably at the right time, that we've done the right thing, holding back players. So you just hope now they're just going to recuperate and push on for next week.
Yeah, it's for me. Obviously, the big thing was, like as you said, about Martin Odegaard's return. I wasn't anxious about it whatsoever, but I was like it's a big game for him to come back into. But it's Martin Odegaard at the end of the day, isn't it? And you could probably tell that he has been away for a couple of months in terms of certain aspects of the game. But I thought overall, like just him being on that pitch was a big thing for us. But I think what did kind of disappoint me, and me and Andy had a bit of a chat on this off air before, was that we didn't really play our football to the expectation that I've come to be accustomed to until the last 20 minutes. And it seemed to take Chelsea to score for Arsenal to go, do you know what? Now we need to step this up. And it's disappointing again, isn't it, that we've been put on the back foot by another goal we've conceded once leading a game. I think that's quite a few goals this season now that we've been leading games and not kind of seen it through. What was your overall thoughts on that, on the first 60, 70 minutes? Because I just felt that we was just doing enough again and not doing what I feel that we were required to do first and foremost, but what we're capable of doing. I'll go to you.
I mean, it was just another massively frustrating 65 minutes where in fits and starts you can see that they've got it in them. They've got that magic and that ability to just sag teams to pieces, but then just for whatever reason, just almost withdraw into a shell. And we never really looked like we were in any sort of major trouble at any point in the game, in fairness. I mean, I know they got away the corners or whatever, but we weren't getting battered at any point. So it showed in the last 20 minutes, 25 minutes, with that change of attitude and emphasis. I mean, we didn't go on to win the game, but you're just thinking, why are we waiting until now? Because if we'd have started the game like that, I'm fairly sure we could have been 1 or 2 up by half time. And then you kick on again. So to only produce it for 25 minutes is just massively frustrating. And you're scratching your head as to why it's happening, because there's not been a massive change in personnel, and it was just another, I don't know, sapping performance for me. I was so frustrated. I got sick of shouting at the telly, and it was just maddening. And then every once in a while, as I say, they'll spark into action and put a move together, and you're like, just do it all the time.
Yeah,
that's what City will do. That's what Liverpool are doing. They'll maintain it, and they'll almost suffocate teams. We don't. We kind of allow them to have a feel around and get their way into the game. And I can't quite get my head around what the initial game plan is, especially when we're starting games. Yeah, it's. I just found it frustrating to cut a long story short.
Yeah, it was interesting when we scored. I turned around to my mate who was next to me, and I said to him, "We need a second." Like there was that part in me that very much believed that Chelsea would score. If I'm being totally honest, just because of the way the season's going. And rest assured, it's been a player that we've been kind of linked with over the last 2 years. Who, to be fair, when he's fit and when he's doing what he's doing, he's an absolute top player, Andy, isn't he, Pedro Neto? And I thought he was a bright spark against us on Sunday.
Yeah, it was a thorn in our side, that's for sure. Yeah, when he's fit and he stays fit and he can frighten anybody. He's got great pace, brilliant ability, and he's got a lovely left peg as well. But his problem's always been trying to keep fit. But at the moment, no, he's actually playing ever so well.
Yeah, he's definitely someone that you could have looked at being in an Arsenal team, and he certainly wouldn't have been out of place, would he?
No, absolutely.
Just going to go to you, John, as well. Big talking point in the first half. Kai Havertz did score, but was disallowed. Pretty unfortunate, really, wasn't it, that moment? I couldn't believe it. Like when the goal was given, it was pretty much like that's dead. There's no, in my eyes, there was never going to be nothing wrong with it. But he literally just shaded offside. How do you feel Kai Havertz played in general throughout the game?
I don't know. It's not his fault. He's not a striker. I've said this so many times. I know he's doing well and he's doing a job. But I don't know, sometimes he just seems to disappear at games. He drops back to get the ball, but then when the ball's in the box, he's not there. He's a bit like Gabriel Jesus. Yeah, I just don't know. It's almost as if Arteta can't play him as a striker, he can't play him in centre mid, and he's got to stick him somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't lucky. I mean, it was his shoulder. It was offside. I was like, ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, it was a good finish. It was a nice little move. But yeah, there's so many players at the moment just seem to be like going for like a little lull. I don't know. It's as if they're so tired. You know, as Andy said earlier, there just doesn't seem to be a spark. It just seems to be really like, me and you were messaging throughout the game going, oh, this is boring. It's almost like tedious to watch. It's just going that way to that way, going back, get the ball to Raya, to Saliba, back to Raya, to Gabriel. It's just there's just no attacking thrust. I don't really know what's happened to us, to be honest. I try not to get too worried about it, because obviously, you know. But yeah, I don't know if it's players need to kick up the arse, but I don't know. The spark that was there last year, the excitement and the attackingness, it just seems to have gone.
I know, John, that we kind of went on it last week, and I kind of discussed it in detail. That I went back to the games, the West Ham's, the Burnleys, the Sheffield Uniteds, and it weren't just in games.
Chelsea
at home. Liverpool at home, Chelsea at home. These were games when we absolutely pressed teams to submission in their own. But I remember Sheffield United; they didn't get out of their half. I watched the first half of football, and it was literally in their probably the last 30 yards from their goal. The majority of definitely the first half, and that's what confuses me. How have we gone from that team in February, March, and April to this team now in November? And when you start looking at the personnel, there really isn't much change. If anything, we've upgraded the left back role in terms of putting Timber in. The defence remains the same. The goalkeeper remains the same. Let's be honest, Odegaard was on the pitch Sunday. So we'll say Partey, Rice and Odegaard were on the pitch, and Saka, Martinelli and Havertz were on the pitch. So for me, it has to be tactical instructions in terms of why we're not playing that way.
Yeah, there's certainly a big frustration in relation to the speed of our attacks, because I mentioned it last time we were on, but we're so concerned about when we receive the ball in certain positions, if we've got a side, if we're receiving the ball side on and ready to turn and go through the lines or whatever, we've got this kind of, this incessant need to have everything set up in front before we'll actually start an attack. And you can see it happening time and time again. And then this is when you get the ball being shuffled across the back until the picture in front has changed until we get to a point, and that's where you start thinking it's becoming a bit robotic. Because ultimately, it's been a lot harder for us this season because our opposition have changed the way they play against us. Because they know in a low block we're going to struggle like mad, and the way teams are set up so well now. And, we're faced with that same situation time and time again because that is something that stifles us, which is why Odegaard being missing has been an absolute nightmare for us because he is the one person that does that little bit something different, a bit of magic from a certain moment. And aside from him, we haven't got that. So, getting him back is massive for us now.
Yeah, it is absolutely massive, and him getting through the next kind of couple of weeks over to the Forest game, which, just be honest, obviously Nottingham Forest have been doing pretty well. I thought, as I said, I think they've got pretty rolled over in the second half by a very impressive second half Newcastle performance. But he's definitely the key to the engine, isn't he? And it was just little bits on Sunday. And as I said, you couldn't expect him to be anywhere near his best because of the injury and he's been out. But you was just seeing even Saka getting the ball in areas that he hasn't. I was sitting there thinking, we haven't got Saka in them areas. Do you know what I mean? Like enough over the last kind of 2-3 weeks. He's just got that swagger about him as well, isn't he? The finesse about him. He can easily just drop his shoulder and he loses a player. He's such a magician, isn't he? Like for me now with De Bruyne, he's probably in his last year, isn't he, at Man City? Odegaard's probably going to be the best player in the Premier League, probably moving forwards. And for us to win trophies and to compete for the top prizes, it's become very adamant and very apparent that he needs to be in his team and playing, and we just can't afford to lose him at the moment.
Yeah, you could in the performances of late, it's just been, it's been lacking in quality, hasn't it? Let's be honest, and that quality generally comes from him. But what a lift he'll give to players now, though, the lads playing on Sunday, the lift they'll get just by knowing that he's on the pitch would have been massive because they know they can stick him the ball anywhere and it can make things happen. And you're getting your captain back, and on quite a few occasions, he was the instigator on, a bit more urgency in the press as well. Yeah, so he comes with a lot of ammo for us.
Just going to say good evening to Russ. How you doing, mate? Good to see you on. And just go to you, John. I don't think there's any arguments now. If there was any arguments before about who should be captain of this team, I think it's quite apparent now that we did choose the right choice in Martin Odegaard.
No, absolutely. I mean, I know it's cliche, but he is the heartbeat of this team. It all goes for him. And the most impressive thing was on Sunday, because how long he'd been out, the longer the game went on, the better he seemed to get. He still for the running right near the end. It was him that did the pass to Saliba that led to the cross for that last chance right at the end. It's very, very impressive. He went to Inter Milan last week. And you think he might get a few more minutes. He wasn't even going to bring him on until, I can't believe someone got injured and had to come off. And he had a couple of minutes. But for him to have 90 minutes straight out of the back like that and seem to be full of running for the whole game, he's just phenomenal. We just can't afford to be without him at all. I mean, the likes, I said, the new Saka, Nelly, he is key. He's the kind of player that will get the best from Odegaard because he can pick the pass. That's what we're crying out for. Even like Havertz, the home game against Forest, he'll be back in his own patch. He'll be running the show again, hopefully. It's so vital.
In terms of Martinelli, I thought it was another frustrating performance, personally. I'm not going to sit here because I was texting you both. An absolute
you were messaging me, yeah.
I was messaging you both in the game.
I was cracking up.
So, to be fair, he took his goal superbly well. But I need to see that throughout the game in, game out. I need to start seeing him get beating his man. I need to see him getting himself into the positions, but not just getting himself into positions, but taking his chances. I thought he had a really good chance in the first half, and I thought it was a bang average shot. If I'm being totally honest, he should have done
like the Bournemouth game.
Yeah, Yeah, the Bournemouth
He
game
always
was
gets in the
one
positions.
example.
He
Yep.
always gets in the positions. He just misses. A Saka used to be like that. He always used to get in one-on-ones and miss. But now he gets through, and you think, yeah, he's probably going to put this in. I think it's a confidence thing. I think that goal is key. I mean, hopefully he'll push on. But he's another player that is a confidence player. You can tell, and you can see what that goal meant to him. And hopefully this will kick him on.
What's your kind of thoughts on the Martinelli situation, Andy?
Oh, he frustrates the life out of me. He really does. Like I'm sure he does with so many, because the one thing he's got is his heart and lungs, and he will literally run through brick walls for his teammates, and he'll run himself into the ground. But by God, he can just wind you up so much. If the game could just be played on instinct, he'll be fine. It's as soon as he's got time to think about what he needs to be doing is when the head goes down, and then we just don't get an end product. And it's that side of his game that just kind of drives you crazy. But hopefully, he is kind of a burst goal scorer, so hopefully that goal against Chelsea we might see him pop up on the on the score sheet a few more times anyway.
I just
I'll
think
put my time sheet in there.
I just think my concern at the moment is that you get a goal or two out of him, and you think he's turned a corner, then you go back to the same performances again. Do you know what I mean? As such, and it's a very strange one with him, because the ability is there, isn't it? The ability is there. Like you said, when he does something by instinct, he can pull it off. It's when he's got to think about stuff, and he does work hard for the team. So there was times in the second half where he was back in the left back situation. You're thinking, do you know what, he was doing really well there, but. I'm very harsh on him, because I just think that at the moment, I think it's a key position for us moving forwards. And I felt he did have the ability, but he's not really taking his chance. And I feel that at the moment, Arteta's giving him up-team chances now to make that position his own. And my question is, and I'll put it out to you, John, how many more transfer windows are we going to kind of neglect this position? Because he definitely needs 100% competition. He's not in the Saka or Odegaard level where he warrants not having someone behind him as such. Do you know what I mean? He needs competition, and he needs good competition. And yeah, Trossard's not a bad player himself, but yet again, for me, he's an impact player. So I actually thought Trossard done all right when he come on second half, but unfortunately, he's going to be remembered for that miss at the end. But is this left wing position an important position moving forwards to kind of find someone who can give him that competition?
Yes, they should have done it in the summer. They should have signed a winger and a striker in the summer. I've been saying this for God knows how long. I mean, I think that's sort of in January, but historically, we A, don't sign too many players, and B, it's never been a massive transfer market where people are making big moves. And you would think, well, now a lot of the clubs are sort of after the same players. I mean, you worry, obviously, United, they're going to be key movers, I would have thought, because this new man's going to come in, and despite everyone thinking he's going to be a miracle maker, he's still going to be stuck with Harry Maguire and Anthony. I think Christ needs some better players. So he's going to be raiding his old team. We obviously want Gyökeres, or what he's called. I really worry he's going to go there. That does worry me, but that's the one I want. But yeah, I mean, I'd love us to sign someone in January, but obviously with Edu going, no one knows who's coming in. People are saying it could be a long-term, like, trying to find a replacement. It could take up to a year. There's, so yeah, that's definitely a position that could be strengthening, because you look on Sunday when he come off and whoever else come off, and you have Jesus on the wing. It's just, there's so many, there's so many better players out there. I mean, Neto, as you said earlier, I think we must have been put off for his injuries, but he would have been ideal,
Any names, John, that you I know we was having a bit of a chat and a bit of a debate on it Sunday evening.
Nico Williams.
You brought up one name, probably not
Eze.
naturally a left winger, but you mentioned Eze from Crystal Palace. What's your thinking behind that?
I mean, he's a very good player. Obviously, he's in London, local boy. he's been at England, so he's probably quite pally with Rice and Saka. I mean, everyone loves Saka. But you've got to think as well, you're looking at Palace, they're in the relegation zone now. I mean, I don't know how much he's got left of his contract. I don't know if he signed a new deal recently or what. But I'm pretty sure in the summer they were saying he had some sort of release clause, was about £60 million. And I don't see why not test the waters. If they're still struggling down the bottom, and there's no reason why he would come. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Why not make an offer? I mean, he's fitting quite well. I mean, like I said, he's not such a winger as such, but I'd rather have him coming off the bench than Jesus. I mean, he's a great player. He's young and he's only going to get better. And Arteta will make him better. And playing with Odegaard and Saka every week will make him better. So it'll be an interesting one. I mean, Nico Williams would be a dream, but sadly he's probably going to go Barcelona, and he probably cost a lot of money than they would him to pay. But we could get him for the right price.
What's your thoughts on Eze?
Yeah, when we had the links with Eze in the summer, I was buzzing with that. I thought he would be just perfect little player for us. He's centre midfielder, can go either way, can probably come off the wings if needed. And he's just got that little bit of individual brilliance where it would mean that we're not just solely relying on our right-hand side of the pitch all the time to deliver the goods for us. So, yeah, I really like him. I really like him, yeah. I'm just thinking on the left side, I mean, it's all about how, whether it's realistic or not, but the guy at Milan is pretty decent. Rafael Leao.
He's quite inconsistent now.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'll be all for it. I know he scored a couple the other day, but I've seen him for Portugal a few times, and he just reminds me of Martinelli.
Yeah. Just off the top of my head, I can't think of that many more really that would add value right now.
One that I kind of added to me. I will go into the Eze one quickly though. For me, I think Eze would add a good blend on that left-hand side, maybe of the three. Like, I don't think anyone's concreted that place as their own at the moment. Like, I know you got Declan Rice and Moreno playing out there, but I think naturally they're more. They should be more. I think definitely Declan Rice is more of a number 6, isn't he? And I just don't think that they've given us that attacking spot. I would be intrigued if Eze was over there. Would he open up the game a lot more for Martinelli in certain games? I think tactically he would, and you could potentially play Martinelli like pretty much on the last man on that left wing because he's so good at retaining the ball, Eze, keeping the ball, but also driving with the ball. So for me, he was one that really did excite me in the summer. But I don't know. I didn't see Arteta going for him. If I'm being frankly honest with you. Which I probably weren't wrong because he hasn't gone for him. But he is someone that really excites me, and he's someone that I think can open up a few locks in terms of that positional play he plays. Not naturally a left winger, but would offer us more strength over that left hand side.
Strength and depth as well, isn't it? You look at the bench, and the players on the bench now. You just look at them. It's just, I know it sounds silly. It's just, apart from Mweneri, he's exciting when he comes on. The rest is just like, Jesus, Trossard, Zinchenko. It's just there's just no excitement when they come off. Eze would definitely get the crowd going.
Do I think Palace sell him? I don't think they will personally in January. I think they'll be absolutely fools to sell him in January, especially if they're in a relegation battle. But I think whatever happens going into the summer, I think that's a player that is going to be leaving Selhurst Park. The
thing is though,
go on.
You say that in the summer, but if they get relegated, then they'll sell him for fuck all. You know what I mean? Because this price still, so they'll have to take.
He works price ball slightly
a good amount of money. So,
obviously the one I did bring up was the Brighton winger. You weren't so overly keen, was you, John? But I was quite impressed by his stats, to be fair, in terms of Mitoma. I just think he's a player who has got it all. I think he's a player who can beat his man on the outside. He can bring it back in. He's got incredible ball control. He does score goals for Brighton. He does lay on assists for Brighton. I think it was something like in 1,250 minutes last year, and that was on an injury rate injury-ridden season, in that space of time, he'd scored 6 goals and 3 assists, which was a goal contribution every 141 minutes. So I think when you look at that, I know that obviously playing for Brighton's a little bit different to playing for Arsenal, and probably teams will be much deeper. But I do think he is a player that I think he deserves to be in the mix when you're talking about players that could potentially come to Arsenal. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, do you know what? I actually completely forgot about him. Yeah, my son in particular absolutely raves over him. Yeah, you can imagine him sort of on that left-hand side. You know, he's got similar kind of electric pace to Martinelli, but individual skill-wise and ability with the final ball, he's definitely an upgrade.
Sorry, just before I carry on, I forgot to say, obviously, Stefan's in the chat. He's an Ipswich fan. So he's an honourable member of the team tonight after that incredible 2-1 win at Spurs on Sunday. I bet you're absolutely buzzing, mate. Hopefully the same doesn't happen when you come to North London on my birthday. Actually, Arsenal Ipswich on my birthday. So, yeah, don't want to repeat that in North London, please. But yeah, like you said, Andy, like obviously your son raves about him. I actually think he's a really good player. I know, John, you've got your doubts. And saying that, I was going to bring him up next. Russ Morgan's come up, obviously, with the Brentford lads. You're quite a fan of him.
He's a good player, yeah. No, he's one of those players. It's like, yeah, it just goes to a bigger team. And it's a bit like Diogo Jota, you know, Liverpool sent up on Wolves. Everyone was a bit like, And then bang, he just turned a bit of a revelation. Yeah, I think he's a brilliant player. I think he's obviously always been in Ivan Toney's shadow, if you will. But he always popped up with goals, and now he's taken on the mantle as a main man. And yeah, he just never stops running. He's always given us quite a tough time. And he always chips in with loads of goals. And yeah, I think he'd be a decent alternative. I think we'd get him fairly cheap. Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
25 years old.
He's coming
25 years old.
He's coming in. Yeah, he always seems to be fit, you know, and he seems to be coming into his peak. He wouldn't have to travel far. He'd definitely come, and he's probably still chats to David Raya today. So there's certainly one to keep an eye on.
And Andy, he plays up front. He plays on the right wing, so it'd be a good alternative for Sacco in certain games, whether he's injured or whether he needs a rest. I remember when we drew 1-1 against them, where we won't talk about the goal the time, because obviously that was the old controversial one. But I was really impressed with Russ Morgan. We loved this one. I was really impressed with him and Toney that day. Like, I felt they had a really, really good relationship on the pitch. They were very close to each other in terms of the way they played, and they were a massive threat. And you didn't want to play against them as such. You know what I mean? I thought this is why they're actually a good side, Brentford, because these two lads have got a good understanding up front with each other, which is quite rare nowadays to see that, isn't it? Because it's usually like the lone man. But I felt that he played quite close to Toney in terms of their style of play. And I do like him. I do think he's a good player. And I think he's someone that could potentially be an option and give us a good variety in a number of positions.
Yeah, without doubt. You know, it kind of ticks all our boxes as well. You know, he's got pace. He's got power with him, can finish. So, be another one. Would he be an upgrade, though?
It'd be a similar sort of Trossard, wouldn't he? He might kind of like do the job, and it wouldn't really stand out, but it would just add to the
8 goals in 11 games, though.
I think
it's good going, isn't it, in the Premier League?
Decent, yeah. Like I said, I think it's all about building the bench and getting the squad. You know, that's what
it's also that, you know, we're judging him on everything he does, kind of attacking wise, but don't forget he's got massive defensive responsibilities in the setup with Arteta, and is he able to kind of drop in and do that as well? They'll be doing all the homework on it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I think he's definitely a player to watch out for. Like Tarek said, he is deceptively rapid. He offers us that option of going out on the right as well in games. I think he's definitely a player to watch out for. I think there might not be smoke without fire this one. I think that he's potentially someone that we could target at a good price. But it'd be interesting yet again. It's one of them, isn't it? Dude, like you said, John, it's not a renowned window to go out and buy these players. Like the Trossard situation is pretty much because he fell out with the manager as such. Where obviously this guy's in his prime form for Brentford. Are they going to be willing to kind of lose him midway through a season? So yeah, it'd be an interesting one. But I do think that he's a player that would be good value to put in the mix of players that we potentially could go for. Is there any other kind of players that you guys can think of that you think would be a potential option to upgrade? Like, it's quite interesting, John, you say about Havertz. For me, he's a secondary striker. And I don't mean that in terms of he sits on the bench all the time, because I think in certain games, I think you could put him in that probably left 10 role and you could push him right up. But I think what he needs is, and I think what the team needs is, they need that physical brute up there, don't they? They need that player who's going to literally bully players. You need that guy who's going to be able to, score you 20 goals, but physically put a presence in there to kind of support the rest of the team. Havertz does it. Havertz does part of that job, but for me, I think he would prevail with actually someone up there alongside him who's probably more kind of even probably more physical than him.
They need to break the bank.
I can see.
They need to break the bank and go and get Gyökeres from Lisbon, because he offers you physicality. He's got pace, power. So on set pieces, he's going to be a massive threat, which is what we are as well. And he can finish. His stats are incredible, and to jump into a new league and score in the way and continue to score in the way that he has, it's probably testament to him, really. So for me, if they can do it,
his Champions League form.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's scoring goals all over Europe. It's not just the Portuguese league. I mean, he scored a hat-trick against Man City. And obviously that's whacked up his price even more, but they need to do that. Yeah. I still have mates at work who can't believe that we didn't even try and sign Ivan Toney. And they said, why didn't you sign him? So I don't know, but I am surprised we didn't try and make a move for him. I know, Liam, you thought we might. I remember you saying you had a funny little thing.
You'll be ruffling Russ Morgan up here. There'll be a comment from Russ in a minute about.
Oh, what is it? Or is he a big fan? But yeah, I'm surprised. I would have taken him.
Wouldn't say that.
It doesn't make any sense. Oh, does he not like him?
I think there was. I think the rumours are there.
I think it's his attitude, and it's let him down. Yeah.
I think there was kind of apparently we don't know, do we? But there was alleged discussions with Arteta, and he weren't impressed with him. But I suppose we have to question why is Ivan Toney in moved over to Saudi Arabia? Do you know what I mean? This is a guy who got in the England squad, played over in the Euros, and then moves over to it don't make sense. It just kind of stinks that he probably wasn't the right player. He wasn't the right player for us. But obviously in terms of the Swedish lad, and I'm going to get it right this time, the Swedish lad. I just think that you go out and blow the bank for him, right? And as I said, I don't think naturally Havertz loses playing time as such. I think there's different systems and different ways that you can potentially play him and play this guy, and I think in certain games you could probably get away with him, Havertz in midfield as such. I think that our biggest problem is right, that we literally can't play a ball into our striker at times. Do you know what I mean? We need someone who's like a physical player. And when I think about that, when was the last time we really had that kind of player? We've never really gone out and bought that kind of player, have we?
No.
He's a totally different player, but it was because he was so good in terms of his finesse that he didn't need that strength. Was Robin van Persie? Do you know what I mean? Like, he was incredible in terms of how he could hold a ball up without having the physical side. But I just feel in the game nowadays, you need that kind of player. And I felt if we had that player, I think we would be league champions. I'd even go that far, and it's quite a controversial one here. I think if we'd have gone out and brought Højlund as such, I think he's a brilliant player. I think he'd be absolutely perfect in this team. Højlund. Do you know what I mean? I just think it's that kind of player that we need in this team. And I think it'll bring so much to this team. You see at times when we lose the ball and you think we lose the ball and we lose on the transition and then we're out of shape. A bit like Saliba, red card. And you just sit there and you think sometimes, is it because they haven't got the option to play into a striker as such?
Yeah, and it can be that. From time to time it can be that. It's just, that particular instance was it just, the way that panned out was tragic. But
even Chelsea on Sunday, weren't it? Every time we lost the ball, it was the transition. I felt on Sunday, like every time we lost that ball in midfield due to whatever the reason was, we just seemed we seemed in a situation where we was under threat every time. And I just feel that's where we're at the moment. I don't know about you.
No, well, I did. And ultimately, Caicedo played better than Declan Rice on the day as well. There's no getting away from that. So, I said last time we were on that we should be expecting more from Declan, and it seems more and more apparent now that this toe injury is probably a bit worse than what we thought it was. And if he's trying to play with a broken toe, fair play to him. But ultimately, let's hope he hasn't gone the other way and cropped him for a bit too long now.
I think it's one of those. If it wasn't Chelsea away we were playing, if it was like Leicester at home, not being disrespectful, he probably wouldn't have bothered because of the magnitude of the game, and you knew we couldn't afford to lose. He's like, yeah, I'll be fine. Bless him. But I'm not saying he played badly, but I think we can expect a lot more from £100 million signing. Without doubt, playing with a
and I think sometimes I always go back to it, but it's my worry is that Arteta's stubbornness will be his undoing. What? So all right, so Declan Rice can't. Maybe we don't take the gamble. We don't play him on Sunday, and throw Maneri in. Throw him in. We talk about like trying to. He's kind of feel his way around, and he wants to make him. Doesn't want to rush things. But why not? Because he's clearly got the ability. And all we're doing is just holding him back, and if anyone comes at me saying about, let's think about his age, well, Yamal at Barcelona's the same age, if not younger, possibly, but if they're good enough, you put them in there. And I just worry sometimes that his stubbornness and his willingness to play certain players, certain positions, that could be his undoing.
Yeah, I think it'd be very much his undoing. I think it's kind of coming to fruition at the moment, isn't it? Like we look at the next round of fixtures, and you start looking at it, and you think, well, look, I think I said last week, it's always harder with Arsenal because, like, even games that Man City would play, they would think they're dead rubbers. Actually, they're London derbies for us. So when you start looking, Nottingham Forest at home, that's not an easy game. They've been banging form up till Sunday. West Ham away. Oh, okay, we beat them 6-0 last year. They're not in good form. You'd expect to go there and win, but let's be honest, they're going to have their grit. They're going to have their beef between their teeth after what happened to them in February, ain't they? Like that was a spanking 6-0, and it could have been more if Arteta didn't go easy on them in the last 20 minutes. And it could have been, couldn't it? And then you look at Fulham away. Well, there's a bogey side for us for the last season. That's not an easy game. That they'll be well up for it. Smith Rowe will be well up for it to kind of show himself off, and he was doing really well there. And obviously you got the lads Reece Nelson. Reece Nelson won't be able to play, will he? But obviously Iwobi would always be up for playing against us as well. And then obviously Manchester United's just before that, and that's a massive game now, a night game at the Emirates with a new manager bounce. Probably the time we didn't really want to be playing them, but it's going to be a massive game. And you start looking at all them games, and I know we've got Everton at home, but even them, like we only beat them in the last minute last year in the last game. I know there's a bit of pressure in that, but we're still going to need to go and beat them. And then the Crystal Palace away game before Christmas. So you start looking at them games and you think we could easily go on a run here and win all them games. You know what I mean? If we talk about last year, the second half of the season, we'd have probably got in that kind of form. We'd have probably go and rolled off 6-7 wins. But at the moment, are you that confident that we can do that? I think that last 20-minute performance give me some hope that hopefully Arteta will say, look, you need to take that last 20-minute performance into Nottingham Forest now and use that as a straw of what we need to do moving forwards. But are you confident, John, that we can put a run together after the break with Odegaard back in the team?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they have to. I mean, I don't. If they really seriously think they're going to win the league, they have to go on a run of wins. They can't really afford many slip-ups out of pressure on them now. It's even greater than it's ever been, really, because everyone thinks it's all over and done with for us. On our day, we should be winning all that run of games, but there's still that worry in it. You know, City sending off when they just at Fulham. You know, they give us a beating. Was it last year?
Yeah, New Year's Eve.
It was 3-1. Yeah, 4. You know, and Palace away, that's always been slightly tricky for us. But the way they're going, they're right down the bottom. It's a game you should be winning. I mean, beat Forest, and then did you say we got West Ham?
West Ham, Fulham. West Ham, Man United, Fulham.
Yeah, Fulham's probably the one game that worries me out of the rest of them. But win the 2 or 3 on the bounce, then the players are flying, and then that's it. Momentum and confidence. The more games we can keep winning, the players are going to be flying. So keep everyone fit. Rotate a few if you have to. Like as Andy said, give Anwaneri some more time. Why not? We've got cup games coming up, Champions League. They're coming thick and fast. So the more wins they can get, obviously, the better it will be.
What's your kind of thought process, Andy? Because I think we're hit a run. I think we're hit a run again. It's my personal opinion after the break. I think the break's come at the right time. I think that last 20 minutes. I think seeing us doing that to Chelsea in their own backyard, I think that will give us some confidence going into the next batch of games.
Yeah, definitely, and let's not forget the Liverpool performance was very good as well. So there's lots to look forward to now, and I think this 2-week break's come at the best time possible. Made even better now by the fact that we know that Odegaard, Rice, and Bukayo Saka haven't travelled, so we can get them here, get them in, get them hopefully back fully firing. Hopefully Declan can sort his toe if that's what the problem is out, so that we get the Declan Rice from last season back in the side, and then so having him back fully firing with Odegaard, Saka's always going to put in the numbers, his quality, and maybe that goal from Martinelli could be the start of a burst of goals from him possibly, and so I'm pretty confident actually that it takes that first game or two, get the wins under your belt, and it just starts to happen. That winning feeling just becomes instilled, and it's you're on the crest of a wave at that point, and as long as you manage correctly, it's a fantastic place to be in, which is where we were last year. So we know what it's like to be in that run and what it takes to put that run together. So I've got that confidence. I think we can do it.
And like the women, that's a key to show you, isn't it? Like a couple of wins, and then you're on a crest of a wave, isn't you? So yeah, I totally agree. I think that obviously getting that win against Forest is going to be the big factor. Obviously, just before we end the show, I'm going to go into the situation which is unravelled over the last couple of days in terms of the referee, Mr. Coote. When I first got this last night, I thought it was a wind up. I actually got to be honest, I thought it was a wind up because obviously when you just don't expect it, do you? I think he's been really let down by a mate, whoever his mate is. Yeah, right. He'll be on my. You talk about porridge list, Mr. Tom. There's a geezer for your porridge list. David Coote's mate. Just unbelievable. But I think it's more. Obviously, he's had a good drink, isn't he, at the time, or whatever, because he's in front of a camera, isn't he? Like in terms of that, he's given his kind of faults. Do we see there's any way back for him in terms of refereeing in the Premier League?
No, there's no chance.
Surely not.
No chance.
He could never ref a Liverpool game again. They're already crying about what he did a couple of years ago. So as soon as he does something wrong, mate, they'll be all over it. Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, I mean, well, sadly, he'd probably be back next week. Probably ref an L game now. No luck. But no, if they've got anything about him, which they haven't, he shouldn't ref again. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking of. His mate's an arsehole, but not being funny. He can see the camera or whatever right in front of him. So he must have known at some point it's going to come out.
I don't know about you guys, but
ludicrous.
I found it all a bit too weird. It's a bit weird. There's something that doesn't sit right with that video.
It's a bit odd.
It's just it's bizarre. It's proper strange.
It is. Yeah. It's really bizarre, isn't it? Because I'm just sitting there, right, and I'm thinking to myself, like, especially in the role that he's in and the scrutiny that he's in, like, he knows he's being recorded as such. He knows he's being recorded, don't he? And like, why'd you put yourself in that kind of situation where you kind of like he's obviously trusted his friend first and foremost. And he thinks he's just having a normal conversation. Let's be honest. we all have normal conversations. We all talk about other people, like, do you know what I mean, and slag them down. Do you know what I mean? Probably, do you know what I mean? But the problem is that he's got to go work and then go to and referee games like this. For me, there is no going back as far as I'm concerned. But you never know with Howard Webb and co where this will go. But I don't think he will come back. I do feel sorry for him in some ways because I think he's been seriously let down. But he's done something he's going to be massively regretting. But does this put scrutiny on now refereeing decisions and all that kind of stuff? And when you see certain stuff happen and certain aspects, does this put a lot of scrutiny on the PFA now in terms of referees?
Yeah, it's probably the last thing Howard Webb and they probably sat in the office when the news came through that this was going to break in the media, and they're probably just thinking, "What the hell? Like, what next? Like, Jesus, man!" You can imagine it being soul destroying for them, but. As I say about the video itself, though, there's just something about it that I just find it weird. I found even if it's two mates, weird questions to ask about. It was just I don't know. I don't know whether more will come out or whatever, but if it is bona fide, genuine, he's without a shadow of a doubt finished. Yeah. He'll be after dinner speaking the next year, like this time next year. Telling his story.
He'll be an armour celebrity.
Talking about Klopp, yeah.
Even Jurgen Klopp probably be in the same jungle, won't they?
Push Tucker trials.
Yeah.
I don't think he was far wrong about Jurgen Klopp, though.
No, you're bang on.
Yeah, exactly. But it does. You do start to sit there questioning, think, well, if he's got an issue with that manager, do you know what I mean? Is that going to affect these decisions? And obviously, Liverpool fans are going to scrutinise every single decision he made now and be like, well, that's when he made that decision because he didn't like Jurgen Klopp. So it just makes it a bit. It just makes it a big hole, don't it? And loads of mud, and it's not a good look for the PFA whatsoever. But yeah, that's about it for tonight. We're not going to be predicting. Oh no, we will. We'll have a prediction of the Tottenham Arsenal women's game. So, what are you going to go for, Andy, on Sunday?
0-4. I think we're going to go there and turn them right over.
Love that. That'd be a nice Saturday afternoon.
Yes, absolutely.
John, go.
I'll go 5-0. Go on, let's smash them right up. Go on.
That's your favourite result. That is 5-0.
Yeah, anything. Give them a good beating.
I'm going to go 3-0. I'm going to go 3-0. I think, we definitely win Saturday. So everyone will be tuning in Sunday and realise the game's already been played, won't they? I'm going to go 3-0. I think the girls will dismantle Spurs and, another step in the right direction. So, which is good. Obviously, thank you very much, Andy, for coming on today, mate. Always a pleasure, mate.
Oh, I loved it again. Thanks for having me, and hope we'll speak again soon.
Someone's gone for a 10-0 Arsenal. That'd be nice.
10-0.
Love that. Yeah.
and John, thank you for coming on again, mate.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always nice.
And now someone's gone for a 50-0 Arsenal. that'd be even nicer. I think I'll get bored though after about the 15th goal went in. No, to be fair.
Yeah.
And obviously, thank you to everyone in the chat. Been some really good kind of conversation made, and thanks to Ryan in the background for putting the chat up. For some reason, still I can't get all the chat, so we'll have to work that one out. But an international week up upon us now. Luckily, we got the women's Arsenal Tottenham game to kind of keep us motivated as such. But have a good week, guys, and we'll see you all next week. Good night.
Good night.